Hansen speaking.
Hello, I just was wondering if you would be able to answer some PTSD questions, and if you would be okay with it being recorded for school purposes.
Sure. Could you tell me a little bit more about what this is for?
It's for a website we have to make for our gym class, and we just have to, basically talk about PTSD, and we have to make contact with someone or an establishment that can support people, and just have some questions answered.
Oh, okay. I think I was contacted by someone else also about this. You're from which school again? Yeah, I think someone else contacted me too, but it was for a different, I think it was for ADHD. I can try my best to answer. I mean, it's a little bit on the spot, but yeah, that'd be okay.
Okay,
thank you.
I can't give any, I have to be pretty general, right? I can't give any confidential information, but...
okay, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so our first question is, do adults react differently than children do?
I mean, because of the age difference in their experiences, there would be different ways of acting out. I mean, an adult who's lived with trauma for maybe a really long time, or maybe the trauma came from childhood, would, be acting out in a different way than a child. A child would act out in accordance with their developmental level, so it would show up differently in their behavior because of their age.
Is PTSD more common in adults or children?
I do not know that for sure. I'm going to go with, the fact that adults have lived longer lives. I guess there's, a greater chance. I don't really know the answer to that question. I mean, kids experience it too, right? And things can seem really traumatic for kids.
Okay, and then our third question. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay. Yeah, no, I'm just going to say that it really depends on, their environment too, where they're living and what they're going through. But things can seem really intense and scary for children.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and then our next question is, does it affect personality? And if it does, how does it affect it?
Personality?
Yeah.
Well, PTSD will show up, let's see. Let me think about this. Someone who's been through trauma will sometimes act really scared of certain things. They'll maybe avoidance is a big part of going through PTSD. So, they might avoid certain things or be hyper vigilant about, certain situations. So, someone who, I'm not going to generalize, but say you have someone who's been through PTSD, they might be easily excited, or their personality might be a little bit scattered. I guess it depends how you look at personality too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, how long does it take to overcome the traumatic event, and can someone ever completely, get rid of PTSD?
Oh, good question. I would say that there are definitely steps you can take to overcome trauma. It will depend on how long you've avoided it and what the trauma was. You treat the symptoms of anxiety. So, there's step-by-step measures you can take. There's psychoeducation. Often cognitive behavioral therapy is really useful. I think you'll always have that event with you, but you can change how you respond to it. So once you've gone through treatment, however long that is, it will depend on the person. You won't act in the same way after you've you've faced it, and you may see it in a new way. It's, you've transformed whatever it is that caused the stress. Yeah.
All right, and then our next question is, how severe can it get?
Oh, very, very, very severe. It can be, debilitating for some people, and it shows up in many ways. Depression, anxiety, and those things can, take over a person's life. It can also cause people to, end up in situations where maybe they're, taking huge risks, and then that will lead to, it could lead to really terrible things, right? Taking one's life, prison.
What are some obvious signs that someone is dealing with PTSD?
Obvious signs. Well, kind of what I talked about before, if they're hyper-vigilant, anxious, they're really their response system is really activated. So someone will either go through fight, flight, or freeze. So those are different ways of responding to stressful situations. Do you know about flight, fight, and freeze?
Yeah. And then, can PTSD cause other mental illnesses? And if it can, which ones can it cause?
Kind of like what I talked about, anxiety, depression, people, who have been through abuse, sometimes they'll act out the same things that happened to them. People who, have gone through extreme trauma will try going through the same thing over and over, the repetition of the event, and kind of hope for different results. That's one part of trauma.
Okay.
That's kind of unusual. Yeah.
Those are all of our questions, so thank you